much. Next item on the agenda is our spotlight honoring Norwalk Public Schools retirees. Ms. Keys.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. This is a really special spotlight. It's our last spotlight of the year. We'll be starting up again when school starts the end of August or September. We've never really honored, we had, I believe, a breakfast not long ago for many of our retirees, but I believe this is really the first time that we're mentioning all of these names in public. We have a lot of great staff that works for Norwalk Public Schools, so they're retiring this year, and we'd like to pay homage to them and really honor them this evening. The Norwalk Board of Education is proud to recognize the teachers, administrators, as well as staff members who have announced their retirement this year. Over the course of their careers, the people we honor today devoted countless hours in service to the children of Norwalk Public Schools. Many have held a variety of roles with us, with titles like principal, teacher, nurse, guidance counselor, assistant, as part of their history in Norwalk. Others have committed their talents in other areas that are vital to Norwalk Public Schools. In all cases, their influence has touched many. Students, parents, colleagues, as well as the community will attest to their legacy that they've left behind for Norwalk Public Schools. Our retirees, like I mentioned before, were recognized at a breakfast held in their honor. But we wanted to also honor them here tonight for the record. All of us here on the board offer our deepest gratitude for their many, many years of service to Norwalk Public Schools. Congratulations and best wishes go out to the following people. I know that some, I'm sure many couldn't make it tonight we have all of our middle school graduations tonight, but at the end, when I'm done calling your names, if any of you are here, we'd love to recognize you. Mary Rose Anto, ELL teacher at Rowton. Jim Ballard, facilities. Julie Benson is a teacher middle school AT program. Bess Berger is a teacher at Kendall. Betty Bono, teacher at Nathan Hale. Marie Siglia, special aid assistant at Rowayton. Tony Dodona, we all know Tony Dodona. Barbara DeFranco, who's a teacher at Nathan Hale. Mary Beth Denoto, who's a teacher at Cranberry. Harvey Figueroa, who's a custodian at Wolf Pit. Jean Frantino, a teacher, elementary school AT. Carlton Harris, who's a custodian at Brian McMahon. Denise Janovic, who's a teacher, AT program, elementary. E. Krowicki, we know, our special ed here, central office. Paul Krasnavich, a principal at Tracy. Allison Crejo, special ed teacher at Norwalk High School. Aline Lemondola, curriculum instruction, site director at Tracy Elementary School. Barbara Lielos, school nurse at Brian McMahon. Sandy Lindwall, secretary, central office. Jesus Lenton, custodian at Rowayton. Margaret Lyon, teacher at Nathan Hale. Fran Mahoney, principal, Wolf Pit. Michael May, who's a teacher at Norwalk High School. Rosalind McCarthy, director, CGS. Martha Morris, teacher at Norwalk High. Charlotte Monroe, teacher at Norwalk High. Virginia Malinsky, manager of our food services program. Joanne Nelson, kindergarten assistant at Silvermine. Bertha Pear, teacher at Nathan Hale. Diantha Reed, special assistant at Rowayton. Inza Santoriso, secretary at Wolf Pit. Robert Stein, teacher at Norwalk High. Linda Sumpner, principal at Ponis. Israel Toredo, custodian at West Rocks. Grace Vetter, school health services here at central office. James Weiser, teacher at Rowton. We also have a few more. Mary Brinkham, bookkeeper at central office. Gerd Caparino, secretary at Marvin Elementary. Carol Drapp, an instructional assistant at West Rocks. Patty Granada, IT assistant at central office. Lori Hall, library assistant at Fox Run. Marilyn Lawrence, library assistant at Rowayton. Fitzroy Lawrence, custodian at Brian McMahon High School. Bob O'Connor, facilities coordinator. And Marie Stile, a library assistant at Cranberry. If any of you are present, if you can just please stand up, or even if you can come up to the board, we'd love to acknowledge you. Any names that I've called tonight? I know I saw B. Koricki, who's way in the back. Okay.
for the opportunity to have worked with your families, your children, especially students with special needs for the past number of years. I have benefited. I certainly hope that a few others have also benefited. Thank you.
Mr. Lyons, if I could just add one other thing. What I'd like to do for Spotlight, other than honoring the breakfast for all of our great retirees, I think it's important to honor them every year. Usually at the end, the end of the school year, our second that we offer this, I think we should definitely acknowledge everyone, and I will make a point as far as our Spotlight program to make sure that all of our retirees are honored this way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes the spotlight. Next item on the agenda is item 4, public comments. Mr. Kasimis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public comments section, when I call your name, I ask that you please come to the podium. When you come to the podium, give us your name and your address for the record. You will have 3 minutes. When there's about 30 seconds left, I will wave my hand like this. When my alarm goes off, that means 3 minutes are up and you need to close. Please be civil. In other words, be nice. So let's see. First, we have Ms. Sarah Joseph.
Let me see if I can hear me. Okay. My name is Sarah Joseph. I am a resident of Norwalk and a senior youth organizer for the Youth Council for Justice. The Youth Council
Can
for
I
Justice...
have your address? Well, just for the record. Need your
Sorry?
address.
Oh, 112 Newtown Avenue.
Thank you.
My name is Sarah Joseph. I am a resident of Norwalk and a senior youth organizer for the Youth Council for Justice. The Youth Council for Justice is a collective of students from Norwalk working together to end the school-to-prison pipeline. This evening, we gathered outside City Hall to call attention to the crisis of school pushout, a system of rules and policies that pushes students out of institutions of learning to places of confinement. Young people throughout the city are celebrating their high school graduations this week, along with family and friends. But others who got pushed out of the school system have lost a chance to graduate. Tonight, we held a candlelight vigil to show solidarity for the victims of school pushout. We grieve that they did not complete their education in high school. We grieve that they did not earn the chance to graduate. We want to see an end to the school-to-prison pipeline, an institutionalized system leading students to early incarceration. We want to see an end to the policies that push students out of the schools, like the zero-tolerance discipline. In a recent study, it was shown that being suspended just once in 9th grade doubles the likelihood that a student will drop out of school. So it is totally unacceptable that in 2013, out-of-school suspensions in Norwalk increased by 54%. Members of the Board of Education, we want justice. We want each individual to be rendered an equal amount of opportunity to complete high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Tony Williams.
Good evening. My name is Tony Williams, and my address is 18 Munson Street, Norwalk, Connecticut. And I am a community organizer for CONCAN, Connecticut Coalition for Achievement Now. And I have passed out a copy to each board member from our executive director, Jennifer Alexander, of which I'm going to read. Over the weekend, I read the Norwalk Hour article reporting that Dr. Stephen Adamowski was being considered for the position of superintendent of Norwalk Public Schools. I write this letter in strong support of his candidacy. I've known Dr. Adamowski for nearly 10 years, starting when we worked together at the American Institutes for Research, focusing on how to help urban school districts improve using research-based strategies. He has devoted his career to closing Connecticut's achievement gap and making sure that great schools are within reach of every child, regardless of race, zip code, or family income. A Connecticut native and the father of a former special needs student, Dr. Adamowski started his career as a third-grade teacher in New Haven and rose to become a superintendent at 29 years old in Norwich. But it was when he became a superintendent in wealthy school districts out of state that he realized that his passion was focused on urban education and improving schools and districts for children who have been historically underserved by our public schools. As superintendent in Hartford, Dr. Adamowski implemented a new portfolio approach to the district as well as an innovative approach to district budgeting that gave school principals more control over how dollars are spent to meet student needs and shifted funds away from the central office and down to the schools. During that time, the district saw 4 consecutive years of continual student achievement improvement that surpassed gains made by any city in the state. During his career, he also revitalized school systems in Cincinnati, Delaware, and Norwich, Connecticut. He has served as special master to New England School District for the last year. Prior to that, he served for 2 years as the special master overseeing the turnaround of the Wyndham School District. The state appointed Dr. Adamowski as part of its supervision and support for both school systems. Both systems were underachieving for several years.
30 seconds.
And the state mandated the appointment of a special master with the full cooperation of the boards. Dr. Adamowski is fully aware of the challenges of poverty, disenfranchisement, and racial tensions that face urban schools and families, but refuses to allow these problems to prevent students from excelling. I write in support of his candidacy for Norwalk Superintendent because I know that he will bring his strong expertise and passion to the work of community on improving Norwalk Public Schools for all children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Lisa Thompson.
Lisa Thompson, 24 Highland Avenue. Many of you know me. I have been in the school district for about 11 years. My children have been in the school district. I've been a PTO officer at the elementary level. I've been a PTO officer at the middle school level. I am a member of a group at Brian McMahon that is fundraising to bring funds needed for our sometimes shortchanged school district. I'm a proud parent of a student who will be graduating. My son will be graduating from Brian McMahon tomorrow. I love this district and I love this city, but we have some issues. We've lost a couple of superintendents, and I am here today to ask all of you, and I know some of us have had our differences, and I appreciate your service, and I appreciate the pressure that you're under to try and arrive at the best decision for our city, but I'm here to strongly endorse Dr. Adamowski, and I hope that you will give him your vote tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Lori Hall.
Got to stop meeting like this. I wore this t-shirt for you guys tonight. It says, "Let me drop everything and work on your problem." My name is Lori Hall. I live at 2 Rising Road in Norwalk. This is a review and an update. I spoke to you at the last 2 Board of Education meetings about the fact that in October 2014, Bruce Morris, head of Human Relations for Norwalk Public Schools, banned me from being assigned to any program in Norwalk Public School buildings or programs. He did so without any proof of any wrongdoing on my part. This ban caused me to be terminated from my school aftercare job through the YMCA because it was held on school property. It also caused me loss of wages because of my inability to apply for other jobs in the school system. Bruce Morris made an unsubstantiated allegation against me, which was proven false. He was supposed to initiate an internal investigation, though I don't know what about, and give me a copy of the results. He promised me several dates when the report would be done and never complied. On December 1st, 2014, Lee Palmer, Chief of Human Resources for Norwalk Public Schools, told me I was not permitted access to the schools in any capacity. He deferred to Bruce to explain the basis for this as determined through the investigation. This caused me to turn down a job offer because it involved going into the Norwalk Public Schools. On February 11th, 2015, a letter from my attorney to Bruce Morris inquired why his investigation has not been completed in a timely fashion and to either complete the report or to provide an explanation as to why he has unreasonably delayed writing it. Thus far, there has not been a reply. At the last board meeting, Interim Superintendent James Connolly told me the matter was being looked into, and true to his word, yesterday I was told by Dr. Robert Zaluski, Chief Human Relations Officer for the Norwalk School System, that the ban has been rescinded. Thank you for following through and being a man of your word. However, I will reiterate what I said at the last two board meetings. By inference, my character has been defamed. I believe Bruce Morris has abused his power and bullied me. I still have not heard from him and either expect a report or a reason why there is none. He's had 9 months and my patience is evaporating.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Robert Burgess.
My name is Robert Burgess. I reside 37 Brooklawn Avenue, South Norwalk, Connecticut. As I read in the paper, a decision has been made to hire a new superintendent. Therefore, we must put all things aside and fight for our children to have a decent education. We must get it together for the sake of our children. We must teach our children the basic read, write, and arithmetic. I am told that some of our children get their high school diploma and still read on an 8th grade level. That's not fair. So we must put our disagreement aside and fight for the education of the future leaders of the city of Norwalk. As school board members, we must learn how to respect each other, and sometimes we probably have to agree to disagree. But yet, keeping in mind, the kids are our main focus. You are here and we are here to make sure our kids have a decent education. I hate to see any person graduate from high school and can't fill out a job application. That is a sin. We must change that. So with the new superintendent, I hope what I read in the paper is true. He has the ability to get things together and work as a team. So for the sake of our children and for the sake of Norwalk, we must do that. I understand that sometimes fools fight, wise men and women negotiate. So I think the Board of Education are wise, and they will negotiate for the future of our children. I thank you very, very much. I hope we get along and have a prosperous year for our children for the sake of everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. John Mosby.
At 15 Addison Avenue. I'm no stranger here to the Board of Education because I come to all of my board meetings and I've been speaking out in this town for many years. One of the things what I want to discuss tonight is Bridge High School. I'm still very disappointed because when Dr. Mark was here, we all agreed, and I think I presented a petition for 400 of the community people that we wanted to renovate Bridge like you did all the other schools, and also bring some trade and things to help some of our poor kids. But this day I spoke to Dr. Deferred, I spoke to the new superintendent, and it seemed like that we still being ignored. They have had meetings up there secret. They never invite us up there to be a part of it. They draw up plans. They never tell us what they're going to do. I spoke to Dr. Allen many times. They told me they would invite us up. They had the state up there. They never bring us up there. Now, I want to say this to the board, and we want to be fair about this. If you can spend $10 million at Roehaven School and spend $4 or $5 million at all these other schools, and then you can go up there to Hunter Hill up there and up at Roosevelt and Tacoma Council approved for that. Why can't you involve us? And let me say one thing, I'm not here to cause no trouble. We got kids in the school. I can speak because we got grandkids in the school. A lot of people come up here and speak, they ain't got nobody in the school. We know what we go through. And we are not lying, we telling the truth. Finally, I would like to say this in a very nice way. We are not against the new superintendent. Nobody say nothing about that. But I remember when Dr. Rivera's here, Mr. Bruce Moore, the Federation of Teachers, got up here and told the board, and I'm gonna be very brief, he told the board that he thought before y'all hire a new superintendent, he thought him and the community and the public should have a right a few days to know what it is. You all did it to all the secrecy. You did it again. We are not against the new superintendent. And I want to say to this new superintendent, when he come in here, he got to do like Dr. Sloan and all the superintendents. Listen to us in the community. Because most of the superintendents come here, they spend 90% of the job in the back room making deals on these programs and all that stuff and never spend no time with the community. So I'm letting you tonight to know, I would like for you all to answer and live up to what you say. Because every time we come here, it's always in the back room, and we never know what's going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Eric Niederer.
Eric Niederer. I live at 36 Pedham Road. I'm a lifelong Norwalk resident. I'm a father of 2 boys that are in Norwalk Public Schools. I attended all of the Norwalk Public Schools, Kendall, Ponus, Norwalk High. I'm here to speak today about special education. Norwalk still has a long way to go in special education, and I hope the new superintendent will be queued up on that issue and will take it as a priority. All children should enjoy the privileges under FAPE and receive an appropriate education. I know that there's always budgetary concerns, but it's extremely important that not only the district live up to the letter of the law, but also the spirit of the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Byrne.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Education. My name is Michael Byrne. I live at 8 Mohakamo Drive. I'm president of the PTO Council of Norwalk. I come here tonight hopeful for a new start, a reset, if you will, after a very tumultuous time for all of us. You see, I think that providing a quality education to the next generation is the most important of our civic responsibilities. But we simply cannot accomplish this goal while we are locked in conflict. I understand that not all members of this board support the appointment of Dr. Adamowski as superintendent. I also understand that Dr. Adamowski will be appointed superintendent this evening. I am asking that rather than starting a campaign to block progress, that each of you considers how you might be a force for positive change going forward. I do not expect any member of this board to blindly follow the leader, but I know that the old way of obstructionism that typified much of Dr. Rivera's tenure only leads to failure. Norwalk is a place of great promise. We are passionate about our city and our quality of life. We take seriously the task of preparing our children for a world we have not yet imagined, and we are supported in our endeavor by the finest teachers in the state of Connecticut. Ultimately, success in our schools is gauged by the opportunities we give our children and by no other measure. This success hinges on our ability to work together toward a common purpose. The children are counting on us to get this right. For our part, I assure you that the PTO Council is committed to helping move the district forward. No other stakeholders in Norwalk have more to lose than the parents and caregivers who form our local PTOs. We have not always agreed on the path to success, and we have experienced setbacks in recent years, but Norwalk is not Wyndham. We are not New London. We are a city determined to provide a world-class education to all our children, to create a district of excellence, and to be seen as a model for other cities in the state. We welcome the new superintendent as a partner in our future success, for only by sharing ideas and respecting one another will we be able to look at our children and say we did our best. Please know that the PTO Council is ready to take action, and welcome to Norwalk, Dr. Adamowski.
Next is Gloria Sinofsky.
Good evening, Gloria Sinofsky, 9 Christopher Lane. I'm speaking to you tonight as a parent. I have spent many years, I've raised 3 children in Norwalk. One's graduated college, one is in college, and one is still at Norwalk High School. I've been a PTO president at Columbus Magnet, Nathan Hale, Norwalk High, and as many of you know, I was recently the executive director of the Norwalk Education Foundation, and I currently sit on the Governance Council of Norwalk High School. I'm here tonight to support the appointment of Dr. Adamowski, and I just want to share something with you as a parent, something that I know all of you know. When Dr. Rivera came, we all saw there was a sea change in Norwalk. People really got behind the idea of visionary leadership, and suddenly everything seemed possible, and you could feel it in the schools. You could feel it here in central office. You felt it everywhere. The opposite side of that was when he decided to leave, and it really felt as if a wrecking ball had hit this district. You felt the energy go down. You felt a sense of there was no longer this sense of dream and possibility. We need a strong leader in Norwalk because we are a challenging district. We have a high poverty rate. We have a lot of diversity. We also have a lot of incredible kids. We have an amazing city with so many natural resources and wonderful people, and we need someone to help us to harness all of that and bring us to greatness. So I'm here tonight to ask you to start a new beginning, to unify and stand behind this new superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue Haney. Next, Sue Haney.
Hello, good evening. Sue Haney, 7 Christopher Lane, Norwalk, Connecticut. I don't want to be an alliance district or a priority district anymore. Those designations bring in extra state dollars, yes, but they do so because we're viewed as just another underperforming, diverse school district, because we're viewed as not serving all of our students as well as we should. We have a chance to change that with Dr. Adamowski as our superintendent. I know change is hard, but without change, how can you as a board conform to a policy you all agreed to close the achievement gap in 2020? Dr. Adamowski said that he thinks Norwalk has the potential to become the highest performing urban school district in our state and a national model of urban education. Give that to our kids. Go for the gold. Thank you for your efforts in finding such an outstanding candidate. I strongly urge you to cast your vote for Dr. Adamowski as the next superintendent of Norwalk Public Schools. Thank you.
Next is Jodi Sadler.
My name is Jodi Sadler. I live at 17 Highland Avenue. I have been actively involved in my children's school for the past 6 years as a class parent, a member of the PTA, a member of the School Governance Council, and as PTA president. I would like to thank the Board of Ed for all the hard work and countless hours that it took to bring us a qualified candidate for superintendent. I don't think any of you get to sleep very much. I want to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Adamowski. I have 3 children in elementary school, so my children will be significantly affected by your leadership in Norwalk Public Schools. I read the blogs and the papers, and I want you to know that those of us who have school-age children don't always have the time to express our opinions in online forums. I read things about what happened in 2002 or 5 years ago and how some very vocal writers think you made mistakes. I've read about your breadth of experience and your dedication to reform. Mistakes, experience, and dedication, these are the words that should apply to our students and our leaders. I think Mr. Adamowski will use his experience, learn from whatever mistakes people think he made, and take this district to the next level. Please remember that there are parents who are very excited to have you join NPS. I've seen 2 other excellent superintendents leave too soon. Even though I would have liked to see them stay longer, they still left lasting educational effects for my children. Core knowledge, P-Tech at Norwalk High, International Baccalaureate at McMahon, and additional outside funding from grants, and the M-Class assessments are a few to highlight. However this vote goes today, as a parent, I want you here leading this district. If someone votes against your appointment or chooses to abstain, they are not voting in favor of the students of Norwalk. Board of Ed members, please support our new superintendent and vote to approve him tonight. He needs to get started for this next school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jeff Spar.
Good evening, Jeffrey Spar, 32 Stony Brook Road, Norwalk, Connecticut. I'm here on behalf of the Norwalk SPED Partners, of which I'm one of the co-chairs. I'd like to welcome Dr. Adamowski to the Norwalk Public School System in advance of the vote that I think will go in his favor tonight. I want to give the support of the Norwalk SPED Partners organization. I'd like to get a chance to introduce ourselves to Dr. Adamowski. We are a group of special ed parents. I know that you have a child with learning disabilities. I've been the president of the Connecticut Association of Children with Learning Disabilities. I'm president of the National Board of Directors for CHAD, which is the Adults and Children with ADHD organization. I've led the fight for autism awareness in Norwalk, and also with the help of the board and the mayor for ADHD awareness in Norwalk. We'd like to have you, I know you have a lot of things to do, we'd like to have you at some point meet with us to understand from us what our concerns have been. But most importantly, we'd like to let you know that we'd like to form a partnership with you. That's why we selected the name Norwalk SPED Partners. The idea is that the parents, along with the teachers, and along with the administrators, would form a partnership with the administration to work together to give the special ed kids in Norwalk a fair and effective education. Thank you very much, and welcome to Norwalk.
Okay, that is all that have signed up for public comments. Mr. Chairman, it's yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kasimis. Next item on the agenda is Superintendent's Report. Mr. Connolly.
Good evening. I'll try to make my report brief. Just to follow up on some of the things that Heidi said, we did host a breakfast for the first time this morning at the Norwalk Inn for all of our retiring teachers. The reason so many of them are not here tonight is because they were up early this morning at our breakfast. But about 30 of them attended, and it was our way on behalf of the board of saying to them thank you for their really dedicated service to the district, and also to welcome and wish them a very happy and healthy retirement, and to ask them not to be strangers. I know some will be back doing volunteer work, substituting work, etc. But we're losing a very, very talented and creative crop of people. The second thing, I just want to thank the board. We've gone through 3 series of graduations. I just want to thank the board members who came to Briggs, who came to the adult education graduation last week. We had the middle school graduations tonight, and we have our 2 final graduations at the high school at Brian McMahon tomorrow evening, at Norwalk High School on Thursday evening. I just want to thank the board members who've been able to come out and congratulate these very deserving graduates. I do have a letter here which is good in a way from Senator Duff. We were kind of unsure of what kind of new money we were going to be receiving from Hartford, and even though the legislature has not reconvened to pass what they call the implementer bill, Senator Duff indicates to us that the district is getting $200,000 in additional ECS money And Mayor, this money has to go to the Board of Ed. It's not a, it doesn't go direct, it can't stay with the city.
You didn't have to tell me that.
But the other issue here is the money is really targeted and dedicated to the Center for Global Studies. The Global Studies is one of the state magnet schools, and it's been flat funded for 5 years. And as the board knows, this year we were almost considering starting to charge tuition to the sending districts, but this money from the state through Senator Duff will really put the this magnet school back in very, very sound financial condition. The only other one, and I mentioned it I think 2 meetings ago, our allocation for the priority school grant for next year is $200,000 more than it is this year. It's not due to new legislative money, it's just due to an allocation within the funding available to the priority school grant. And that will allow us, along with Title I, to ensure that we do have a very robust program at the South Norwalk Community Center. So that was in question for a while, but that's been settled now too. So I'm very pleased that as we start the next fiscal year, we'll find both the Center for Global Studies as well as the After the Bell program at the South Norwalk Community Center in good shape. Third thing I wanted to mention to you very proudly, the State Department of Education, Higher Education, Department of Economic Development hosted a statewide coming together 2 weeks ago, this coming Friday in New Haven, to really focus on the partnerships between the community colleges and various school districts in the state. And as you probably know and should know, our program at Norwalk Community College, our NECA program, is the only ongoing program in the state right now. And this coming together was to demonstrate to other community colleges and other school districts that are starting this initiative next year that we're the model here in Norwalk. And we had 3 of our young people actually presenters at this conference: Cardell Clay, Angel Reyes, and Erin, I'm going to kill her last name, but I think it's, and I don't have my glasses, but and I won't spell it, but Erin Aramich. All of these are freshmen, 9th graders who did this presentation to educational leaders throughout the state. So we're quite proud of them, and I think Norwalk needs to be proud of them. Not only what they're doing, but the fact that we do have the first NECA program in the state of Connecticut finishing its first successful year. The last thing I wanted to mention, and I hope I can resolve this before Dr. Adamowski starts, is I really am concerned about some of the breakdown we've had in our physical communication system. Since I've been here in February, I just noticed with dismay the number of times it's announced that telephone service has been broken down for hours, sometimes days, sometimes multiple days, causing our schools really to lose communication with us, and quite frankly, in some areas, putting us in a safety situation, because these breakdowns are occurring in schools that have poor cell phone service. So I've talked to the mayor about it, and we're both on board to try to work with Frontier and our other vendors to see that this program is really, this problem, I should say, is addressed and is settled before we start the beginning of the next school year. It's not good enough for me to have a repairman come out or a repairwoman come out, fix the problem, and then 3 weeks later, the same problem is occurring in those schools. And there are 4 or 5 schools in the district that have been severely affected by this. And as I look at the emails that go out about service coming down, I'm talking about multiple times, sometimes down for multiple days. And unfortunately, there are the same 4 or 5 schools that are getting this. So hopefully we can get this and some other things resolved, so this isn't something that Dr. Adamowski has to worry about when he begins his service here. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll now move to item 6, actions. First item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Tonight's consent calendar is item 6.2A, approval of personnel, the list that's in the packet. And 6.2b, approval of trip West Rocks Middle School to Nature's Classroom, October 2015. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar. Mr. Kasimis moves, Ms. Keys seconds. Anything to be removed from the calendar? Okay. Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving the consent calendar, please indicate. And that is unanimous. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of appointment and term sheet with Stephen J. Adamowski as Superintendent of Schools. I have a proposed resolution which was sent to me today by our attorney. Pass that down. Tom Mooney to make sure that the appointment of Dr. Adamowski comports with any requirements of state law. So I just handed that out to board members. So the chair would, I'll explain this once the motion is made and then discussion can commence, but the chair would entertain a motion to approve the resolution just handed out, which states moved in accordance with the Connecticut General Statute, Section 10-157B. The Board of Education hereby elects Dr. Stephen J. Adamowski to serve as acting superintendent effective July 15, 2015, and then upon completion of certification requirements as superintendent for a term of approximately 3 years from July 15, 2015 through June 30, 2018. Further move that the chairperson is authorized to execute the related contract of employment between the board and Dr. Adamowski on behalf of the board. Is there a motion to that effect? Mr. Kasimis moves. Second, Ms. Keys. Let me start by explaining the purpose for this motion. As many of you know, we've received about 387,000 emails in the last 2 days from a guy named John Pelto with various concerns that he's expressed about Dr. Adamowski. One of them was his expressed concern that Dr. Adamowski does not have the appropriate certification to serve as a superintendent of schools. Now, Dr. Adamowski received a waiver from the Commissioner of Education in 2007, which is unlimited in its application as to either school districts or time. And based on that letter, both Dr. Adamowski and PROACT felt that he was duly qualified to serve as a superintendent. So do I, and so does Tom Mooney. However, Dr. Adamowski informed me and Mr. Mooney that he had talked to the Commissioner of Education and that the Commissioner had discussed with him the whole question of do you want to take the appointment pursuant to a letter written in 2007, which may generate unnecessary controversy about your status, or perhaps the easier way to do this is keep that letter in your pocket, but take an appointment using the exact same methodology that we used to appoint Manny Rivera 2 years ago. You may remember that Manny met all the qualifications for superintendent, except he hadn't taken one undergraduate course in special education. And so what we did with Manny was we approved him as acting superintendent pursuant to the statute, subject to his taking that course. Now, in point of fact, Dr. Rivera did not have to take the course because he was later able to show that from his experience as superintendent and managing special education programs, he had more than met the requirements, and so it was ultimately waived and he got his full certification without having to take the course. I suspect the same thing would happen with Dr. Adamowski, but he informed me today that he had talked to the Commissioner, and the Commissioner had said, look, if you do this, I will certainly approve your appointment as acting superintendent, and then you either take the little course in special ed and pass that, or you waive it, and then I'll issue you your full certification. So in order to avoid any possibility of a question of the legality of the appointment, Dr. Adamowski and the Commissioner of Education suggested that we simply do the same technique that we had used with Manny 2 years ago, so I asked Tom Mooney to draw up a resolution that would function to do that under that statute, and that's that's why this resolution is before us. Is there discussion on the motion? Ms. Mosby.
Yeah, I understand the motion. My question here tonight is that we had a search firm. We spent a lot of money on a search firm to do a vetting. And this was one of the requirements, was a certification that, the applicants had. So my question here tonight is, how did that slip through the crack? How did we did not see this coming in a sense? Because now you're telling me that we have to now put in a motion to, give this the person where they can go and get themselves certified. When we spent the money for PROACT to go out and do this search, we gave them our criteria, we told them what we were looking for, and they were supposed to bring applicants to us that had met those criteria. And yes, we've had a few applicants that was there, and you know that. And they met their criteria, they met Norwalk's needs, they met everything. And there were some very outstanding ones. So, and of course, we overstepped them, and not knocking this one right here, but the bottom line is that we spent money on PROACT to do their job, to thoroughly vet people and make sure that whoever applied for a position had the certification that was required when they applied for the position.
Any other comments? Ms. Rivas?
Yes. This that you just handed to us is also available in the packet for the public. Do they also have this?
No, I just brought this with me to the meeting. It was sent to me today by Tom Mooney.
Okay. My concerns are also that we did have a search firm, and with all, we had excellent candidates and the finalists and everything. Everyone was very well, and you even complimented us working as a board completely and said that we had great questions and we did a great job, and you said that. Yep. I wanted to mention before I talk about this motion and the contract and the letter is like what the public has stated, that it's an opportunity that we do need the best person. We do need a great superintendent that can move our district forward, but with the community input too. Now, I can relate to special education. I can relate to special education. I don't know if many years ago anyone's aware of it. I am a single parent, always been. And I am a special ed parent, okay? I am a special ed parent, and I still have children in the system. And I know what's required, and I have a lot of concerns. And then these, during the PROACT search with each candidate, there's a section in the process that states, in public domain, are there any positive or negatives for that you need to mention? A lot of this stuff I'm hearing, I never heard when we were doing the interviewing, when we were having the two interviews we had, or nothing came before. All of this information is just popping out I don't know where. It's just coming out, all of this information. I have a lot of concerns about the article that they were saying that students, special ed students' rights were violated during the tenure in 2009, in June of 2009. And then I said, well, I need to see if I can verify this from somewhere. And then there's actual report. There was an investigation done by the State Department of Education, and within that, in that, it shows you its findings. And yes, Hartford Public Schools was in violations of violating the rights of these 23 special ed students. And the thing is that if there are questions now at the last minute, it's not that I don't want someone that's good, you see, but the whole purpose of being elected on the board is really for us to listen to each other. And you know, respectfully, Mr. Lyons, as chairman of the board, I don't think, you know, to keep the board together is not speaking badly about other board members and say, well, these board members are the bipartisan majority and the other three are whatever. It's like we're being isolated and our voices are not being heard. I bring knowledge and experience from my district, and as a parent of special ed, and going through things in the school district, I can relate and I could bring to the table and say, not micromanage and say, well, you need to go into the school and do this particular thing, but I can make suggestions. Perhaps if maybe they look at this with the children or that with the children. I think that each of us have a right to say, and not for someone to get angry, because we have a right to voice our opinion and agree to disagree, but people really have to mean that. It's not by saying, I can understand diversity. Diversity is a big, broad word. Things like discrimination, that's a big word. You know, people, it has different meanings. That has different meanings. That is, like bullying has been more sophisticated. Discrimination becomes more sophisticated. And I believe we really need to pay attention and be more kind. A lot of the information that you have more information than I do. A lot of the audience has more information than I do. The comments that I should know about. There are reports that appear in the paper before I see them. They're you know, it's like, I just said before, I said we have a quorum when we first came. And I said, yeah, but the meeting's not starting because I don't want it to start. That's what I was told. So it's okay. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what superintendent is here. But we all need to understand that we have a right as human beings to listen to each other. And the respect is listening and taking under consideration what we have to say. And this is a very important decision. Like the special ed parent that came before the microphone that said they want to make sure that their child is going to be educated correctly. Don't you think I want the same? And we spend nights and rests a book this thick to look through and vet through. And then when it comes, I care. And it has nothing to do with the gentleman. It has nothing to do with Dr. Adamowski. It has to do with how the process was done. There is no contract in here that states so the public could view it, so the unions can view it. What it says in our policies, community input is very important. It's very important, and our rights should not be taken away. And I don't apologize, but I need you to understand what I'm really trying to say, and it's important. Like, I need to have more information. I would have wanted to table this decision, perhaps until Thursday or the end of the week. Why? So then the research can be done and clarify, are these allegations true? Did something happen in the special ed ring? What did actually happen? Because I don't want to make a mistake, not with him, but I don't want our system to go down. We have a great school system, I believe, you know. And then when I argue about what and my questions being answered, it's not because I need a word clarified, like cultural is resistance to change. I understand what the word means. But the more clear and specific you are, that's the only way that we could initiate real change. We have to be more clear and more specific as to what our problems are. So I am a little bit upset at the fact, okay, Tom Mooney is the board attorney, fine. Okay, this was given out. If this is given out, I like to have, if the board is looking at something, the public should also be looking at what we're looking at that came from another attorney. Because we are the taxpayers. We are the ones that make the decisions. Every one of you have a right to policy, to your opinion. It's not just us here. So the contract should be in this package so everyone can see the contract and say, this is what's going to happen. I don't want a sheet of paper that says, this is an agreement and this is what's going to happen. Then we never see the contract again. And then it's a done deal. Then you don't know exactly. I would like more specifics. And, you know, the communication with the board, community relations with the media. In our own policy, it says, the Board of Education shall communicate with the people of Norwalk concerning the objectives, achievements, needs, and conditions of our public school systems by means of locally circulated newspapers, periodicals, and other forms of communication. The superintendent of schools and his designee shall have the authority to issue news releases and via media and citywide. It doesn't say anything that a board chair should put down other board members, and these people are not followers. You know, it's not like I asked to be seated here. It's like it's like we have assigned seating. It's like, and then when someone is the focus, okay, is there a vote? The audience turns this way. Is there a vote? And then when it's time to look this way, it's a different story. But you see, I want my children to be proud of me so they can follow in my footsteps. And I think what I have to say, I spent a lot of countless hours on this. Even being sick, I still try to find out what is going on with our school district. So don't underestimate someone because you don't know them. Excuse me?
Nothing. You have the floor, Ms. Rivas.
Okay, anyway, I thank you, Mr. Lyons, for giving me the floor. And I had that build up inside of me because, you know, hearing comments and everything that we have to do the right thing. And I know we have to do the right thing, but my decisions are not based on just myself. My decisions are based on my heart, on what I feel the right thing should be done. And the paper that was handed out, it should go to everyone. And I understand, but I would have liked to have a contract so we can actually see what we are signing, what we are approving, but we actually don't sign it. It's you that sign as the chairman, respectfully. But, you know, and then with the certification, it would have been like Ms. Mosby had mentioned that when we did do the interviewing, well, by the way, there's a what do you say, a waiver to the superintendent since 2007, because if a person is interviewing, this is 2015, so wouldn't you think that when you go to the interview, that already we would have known ahead of time? I didn't have to find out from a newspaper or from someone on the street in the community telling me the person is not certified. Then how does that make me look? You see, so it's just a question of when there is communication on the board, it should be the board as a whole having communications. And I want to be included. I want to work with the board. I really do. But you need to accept and hear my voice and also accept me and let me know what's going on. Because, you know, right now, I'm playing it by ear. It's like I'm just getting stuff and information now. And thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Ms. Harris?
I just have a quick question. This paper that you just gave us, is this the same as number 3, or are these two totally separate things?
It's the same. The contract of employment is the document it's the term sheet that's included in the packet that went out last week.
So there's going to be one vote. Basically, the vote is number 3, and this is included.
Right. The way that this will work is that we're going to do exactly what we did with Dr. Rivera. The term sheet appoints Dr. Adamowski to the job. Certain portions of it are immediately binding. But as it says, there are also various other things that are going to be negotiated in the final contract. That contract will then come back to the board for approval exactly as we did with Dr. Rivera's. So what we're approving tonight is the term sheet that's in the packet. Ms. Murray.
Yes, in this motion, upon completion of certification requirements, what time frame are we talking there?
Well, we can put that into the contract. We actually had language specifically addressing that with Dr. Rivera. I think we gave him about 2 months.
What's the requirements? I mean,
the requirement, under the state, he has 1 year to get the acting certificate is good for 1 year. And the commissioners said they will approve that. And by contract with Manny, we required him to get it considerably quicker than that. And we can do the same thing here. comments, questions?
I do have one follow-up question.
Yes.
Was there conversation about the time frame?
For him getting that?
Right. Was
No,
there
that-
a conversation?
We had a brief conversation trying to get a sense of how long it would take. My sense is it's probably about 2 months like it was with Manny. That's why we put it in the contract. But we will negotiate language like that in the final contract, and that contract will be brought back to the board, which has to approve it.
One other question?
Yes, Ms. Rivas?
Yes, so the contract will be available to the public, or also
Yes,
it will be online?
Well, it will go in with the packets, yes.
With the packet, okay.
Mhm.
So then you said this term sheet, that's going to be attached to the contract?
No, the term sheet is sort of a temporary contract. That's the thing that's in the packet.
Okay.
It's a 2-page document. It makes the appointment as superintendent, and it provides, the base pay and things of that sort. But it also says that among the things that we are going to negotiate in the final agreement are annual evaluation, possibility of discretionary performance, as we've talked about, a deferred compensation provision. I've already told Dr. Adamowski that the board wants some kind of a golden handcuff, as we discussed, where there would be deferred compensation, which the superintendent would lose if he did not remain for the whole 3 years. So those provisions will be worked into the final agreement, distributed to the board, and then voted on by the board.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Busby?
So what you're saying is that there's going to end up being 2 votes, one tonight on the term sheet,
Yep.
and then another one later on the contract.
That's correct.
And with that there, we're going to go in, and my concern is that the last time we did a term sheet type of situation, and when we came up for a contract, we had some concerns about what the language and what was in the contract. We were told that every time we turn around and said something that you voted for it, you voted for it. I don't want to hear that. You voted for it. So that's my concern right there, is that we sit here and vote for something tonight, and then turn around and you'll say that, well, if we don't like a certain type of language that's in the contract later, you're going to sit here and say that you voted for it.
Well, I would say, for instance, yes, you voted to appoint him superintendent, but I couldn't say you voted on a specific deferred compensation plan, because it says right in here, we're just going to discuss inclusion of it. So, we're not going to know what that looks like until we negotiate it.
If that was the case, then we could have separated this. It did like 3 appointment of a superintendent, and then 4 the approval of a term sheet. But right now, you have everything lumped together,
Yes, that's correct.
and it could have been separate.
Seemed logical to me to combine it since they're completely interrelated. Any other questions, comments? All right, well, let me make a couple of comments here. First off, I want to thank the board for all the extensive work that was done in this process. We looked at some excellent candidates. I think PROAC brought us a very good group of candidates. We narrowed down to 7 and then 4, and finally decided that among a very good group, we thought Dr. Adamowski stood out. I did talk to, when this issue of the certification came up, I went back and I looked at the profile that we had approved. The profile says that the candidate must have appropriate certification or equivalent. So in talking to Steve Kupfer at PROACT, he told me that their judgment was that this was the equivalent, that the letter signed by the Commissioner of Education says that the Commission may grant a waiver of certification for a person who the Commissioner deems to be exceptionally qualified for the position of superintendent. Therefore, you may serve as superintendent for a Connecticut Public School District without any further authorization or certificate. Signed, Mark McQuillan, Commissioner of Education. So PROACT's view was that, in fact, Dr. Adamowski does have the certification or equivalent, the equivalent being the waiver provided under Public Act 07-241. I agree with them. so did Tom Mooney when I talked to him. I think this waiver is all that we need. The reason why we went to the step of going to the acting was because Dr. Adamowski talked to the commissioner, and they felt that since there is controversy around this letter, even though our legal counsel feels it's perfectly valid, why bring him in under a cloud? There's a mechanism that we can use that simply puts this whole issue aside. It's the exact same mechanism that we used with Dr. Rivera. So the PROACT people felt that this letter was the equivalent of a certification, which is why that they did not raise the issue. They felt that he was qualified to serve. I will say, obviously a lot of things came out, most of them from one gentleman upstate in the last couple of days. I have forwarded to the board multiple responses to that gentleman, some that I had found with my own research and some that Dr. Adamowski had provided. Just as I forwarded to all the members of the board this waiver letter as soon as Dr. Adamowski provided it to me, I have done everything I could throughout the whole process to keep all board members fully advised of every issue that had come before us, both before and after the announcement. I just wanted to go over the press release that we issued again because, this is a good day. Might not sound like it, but the fact of the matter is this is a good day. The former superintendent of this, Dr. Adamowski, is the former superintendent of the Cincinnati and Hartford Public Schools, with 38,000 and 24,000 students respectively. He was then named Special Master for the State of Connecticut Department of Education in 2011, providing state supervision and support to challenged school districts. He shares the board's commitment to building a school district of excellence for the 21st century, one that truly embraces diversity and the goal of success for each and every student. He has committed to staying in Norwalk for the long term and to full support of the strategic plan adopted by this board with former Superintendent Manny Rivera. We believe that he will bring to his superintendency all the talents and values that the board looked for in the lengthy search we conducted with PROACT. Dr. Adamowski has been a successful educator and education reformer for over 35 years and a nationally recognized urban superintendent. He served as superintendent of Hartford System of Schools for 5 years before assuming his special master duties. During this time, the performance of Hartford students on Connecticut state assessments, once the lowest in Connecticut, rose by record levels, surpassing statewide gains for 4 consecutive years and substantially closing the achievement gap. Key to that success was an overhaul of the district into a system of high-performing schools of choice through redesign and turnaround of low-performing schools and the creation of a portfolio district. Prior to Hartford, Dr. Adamowski served as Senior Fellow Managing Director of the American Institutes for Research in Washington, D.C., where he focused on assisting urban school districts to improve their effectiveness. He joined AIR after serving as superintendent of the Cincinnati, Ohio Public Schools, where he led a massive redesign and decentralization that pioneered the development of small-themed high schools and produced dramatic gains in student outcomes. He currently teaches a course on data-based decision-making for superintendents in the University of Connecticut Executive Leadership Program. He holds an MA in education from Trinity College in Hartford, a specialist degree in administration, planning, and social policy from the Harvard Graduate School of Education, earned his PhD in educational administration from St. Louis University in Missouri. In the press release, I stated that Dr. Adamowski brings the exact set of skills, proven leadership, and the implementation of major reforms that we were looking for. We have a strong strategic plan, and we now have a strong implementer with a proven track record of making reform plans work. We are very excited that Dr. Adamowski has agreed to join us in Norwalk to keep the Norwalk Schools' long-term reform plan moving forward. I also wanted to read one other thing. We got Mr. Pelto's extensive, virtually unending takes on what happened in Hartford. But today I received a letter from Millie Arseniegas, the PTO Executive President of the Hartford Parent Organization Council, which represents a coalition of 45 parent-teacher organizations throughout the Hartford Public Schools. And I also shared this with the board by email. She states, to illustrate Stephen Adamowski's accomplishments during his leadership, I have to take you back to a moment in time when the system wasn't producing great results for our children. The Hartford Public School System was a dysfunctional, low-performing school system. There was no system accountability. Parents had a lack of trust in the system. Parent involvement was at its lowest. When Adamowski came on board, he came in with a strong mission and vision. His mission was to overhaul the entire Hartford Public School System to produce greater student outcomes, and his vision was to create a system of high-performing schools to begin closing the achievement gap. His visionary leadership provided the school system with structure. He focused on priorities such as early literacy, accountability, and high expectations, and implementing an all-choice system of schools. He also took the lead on becoming the first school district in the state to implement school governance councils to include parents in the decision-making process. For the past 5 years, our children have shown significant gains, and everyone is proud of their accomplishments. Because of Adamowski, our children in the school system are now on a path to produce extraordinary results. Sincerely, Millie Arseniegas. So I think, in terms of his legal status, as I said, I think the waiver letter is enough. Our legal counsel, Mr. Mooney, thinks it's enough. But to eliminate any concern, Dr. Adamowski and the commissioner suggested that we simply follow the same procedure we did with Manny Rivera. So we don't have to worry about legal interpretations of waiver letters. We can simply move forward in exactly the same way that we did with Manny Rivera, get Dr. Adamowski in here and get him on the job. I am very pleased that he applied for this position. I'm very pleased that he was given serious consideration by all the board members. I again thank the board members for the serious efforts that they put into this. At the meeting where we had the discussion among candidates, very intelligent and impassioned arguments were made on behalf of a couple of candidates, one Dr. Adamowski and another, both of whom were excellent. And I think the board members handled themselves very maturely and intelligently, and we came up with a person that I think is a great choice for this job. So I urge the board to support Dr. Adamowski's appointment. I'm sorry, more? Yes, Ms. Harris.
I just want to state, as someone who listened to the process from the outside last time, and people who were victimized because they voted against, I think what the audience or people don't realize is that there are other candidates. Unfortunately, we can't reveal who they were. So I don't think that anybody should be victimized because they vote for or against someone. I think the bottom line is once someone comes in is that we work together. But looking from the inside now, I don't think it's fair for people to victimize others because they vote for or against, not knowing who the other candidates are.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mosby.
I just want to make sure and put on record that some part of the superintendent search vetting process was flawed. That's all I want to put there, because whether PROACT was at fault, whatever, but part of that superintendent search vetting process was flawed. I want to make sure that is on record.
Ms. Rivas?
I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Harris. It made me feel a lot more better and heart-wise, and I'm glad you made that comment, because it was an excellent interviewing process. There were other candidates, and people should not be victimized. And the bottom line is, once it's done, it's working together, and everyone listening and listening to what people have to say and not putting anyone down for it. And I think that's the best thing. You need to vote your heart on what you feel on, and like the bottom line is working together and understanding that. And I thank you for saying that. It makes it a lot better for me.
Okay, anything else? Ms. Mosby.
And however this vote turns out, in the end, I will work with whoever if I believe that they are doing what they need to do to make sure that all our children are getting what they need, and that they're reaching out and following these board bylaws and policies that are put in place for us to follow. And I'm willing to do that, whichever way it goes. But I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to and rubber stamp or go with the flow because pressure is out there. That is not going to happen. I'm here to do a job, and my job is to make sure that everyone is treated fairly, that everyone has a place at the table, and every voice shall be heard. And I'm going to continue to do that. So whoever comes in, I will welcome that person as long as they go down that road. But if there's any one child or one person that feel that they are not being respected, then I am going to have something to say about it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Murray.
Yes. From our experience in hiring superintendents, and we've been through a few of them, one of the things that is noted that regardless of how you vote, the isolation that's put in place because of that vote is something that this board needs to look at and to re-examine. That's something that we need to look at, take seriously, and understand there is a difference of opinion in the number of areas and levels of this process. But the fact of it is that isolation should not be put in place for any of the board members who are sitting at this table as we continue the process and continue to work for the betterment of the Norwalk Public School System.
Thank you. Mr. Barber.
That's all fine and well, but I think you have to remember there are 9 people on this board, and to get something passed, you need 5 votes. And, you know, people can talk, people can reach across the aisle. You can give that smirk, Shirley, and drop it from your face.
Okay. Keep calm.
But the fact is, if you can't get 5 votes, it's not going to get passed. So do the math.
I'm going to be the better person here tonight, Mike.
Oh,
Ms. Rivas?
Drop it.
Okay, you see,
Ms. Rivas has the floor.
well, thank you again for the floor. Okay.
All yours.
Okay, you see, this is the thing. This is the thing. What I'm saying is, it's not only about getting. It is about at the end is getting the votes, and whoever takes it, that's what it is. But the whole thing is like a lot of times. Mr. Lyons has said, you know, you need to convince the other person, you know, why see it your way or how to go along your way, and then that explanation has to be respected. And either, but it's the listening part. It's the listening part because we're all passionate, but we have to restrain our anger. And it's not like you go to and say, okay, we need to be civil. We need to be civilized. What exactly does that mean? I mean, if you're civil in public is one thing, but you got to have that civility behind closed doors. You got to have that civility in the newspaper as well, in the media. You have to have that. And people really need to understand that this is a very difficult job. This is a very difficult job. You have the life of children in your hands, on their future, and you really cannot be selfish and think of yourself. So you need to really listen. And like I said, and like it was said before, you can agree to disagree. But at the end game, we still have to be spoken to. We need to communicate with each other. If someone's mad because someone didn't vote a certain way, that stops progress. Okay, you're angry because it didn't go your way, all right? But then you get over that. That's when you argue in your family. You get over that. But you still have to live together. We still have to work together. But you can't force someone to be silent. And everyone has a right to speak regardless of what's being said to you, because then what's life all about? With every one of us has those things to deal with, and you know, we just gotta learn to control ourselves and be kind and not hurt each other. We each have our own things. So okay, so thank you, and I hope I didn't make any matters worse here, but I just know that that's the whole thing. We need to continue to listen. And part of the board professional development has to be, if we have to lock the doors behind us and talk in here and talk to each other until we're blue in the face, until we're able to speak to ourselves in a decent way, until we're able to get our point across, because we have a perception. You know, the public needs to be confident in our decisions and what we're talking about. And, you know, that's it. That's what I have to say as well. I hope no one's angry, but.
Mr. Kasimis.
I'm not angry.
Good. Good.
We've been at this since, I think, the end of January. We've been meeting together constantly. We've seen a lot of each other. The past couple of weeks, we've been to dinners and award ceremonies, retirement banquets, things like that. I am very confident in my vote tonight, but I will say this. On Friday, was it June the 19th, is my 27th wedding anniversary, and I am getting on a plane at 7 a.m. with my wife, and we're going to the Caribbean. So I said that to lighten things up a little bit. Hopefully we won't be here till then, because I do want to make a point. So my point is, can we vote? Thank you very much.
All right, anything else? No? Okay, all right, so we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of the appointment of Dr. Adamowski, please indicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Motion has 5 votes in favor, 4 votes opposed. Dr. Adamowski is approved. Dr. Adamowski is here. I thought perhaps you might want to come up and say hello.
So I guess I want to thank the members of the public who have reached out to me this evening and over the past several days. I want to thank the board for their support and belief in me. It energizes me and motivates me to do my best work. After the past 4 years in state service as a special master, I am very glad to be a school superintendent again. They are 2 different roles. One is a leadership role and highly collaborative. One is prescriptive, and it's intervention and kind of the last chance to get things back on track. I feel privileged that I will be able to work with all 9 members of the board in a community I aspire to be a permanent part of. The process of school improvement and closing the achievement gap relies on having schools that are robust enough, unique enough, exciting enough to attract families, motivate students, and meet the diverse needs of a full range of students. In that sense, every child in Norwalk is a special child. We only move forward with this when we have a system in which every child is able to read on grade level, develop their strengths, and graduate from high school, college, and career ready. And every school is considered a good school by the parents that it serves, the families that it serves. The quality of school leadership and the development of our teaching, empowerment and development of our teaching staff are the 2 most important factors that enable the success of any reform strategy, any set of policies, anything that we may put in place or do to provide direction to the system. The strategic operating plan needs to be a living document that you own as a board, and I and our staff implement. It must be inspired by vision, driven by data, and supported by our stakeholders. My best hope tonight, as I plan to join you, is that the compelling nature of our work on behalf of all students and the prospect of the opportunities we can provide the children of Norwalk in this wonderful city will inspire and elevate adult discourse and provide the basis for unity and renewed commitment of all Norwalk's stakeholders. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you.
Heidi Keys, yes.
I just want to, Dr. Adamowski, I just want to welcome you to Norwalk. I think you have your work cut out for you, but I think you will absolutely succeed. Looking forward to your vision, your leadership, as well as your guidance, and to continue the great work that Dr. Rivera did. Thank you.
All right, so we will now, if I can find my agenda. So much paperwork here. All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of Norwalk Board of Ed computer purchase from capital funding. I think that's you, Mr. Rudel.
So the purchases before you today are for the 15-16 capital budget. The council did approve next year's capital budget for technology at $755,000. Ralph has requested that it go before the board today in an effort to get in front of land use and the council for July, so the purchases could be made before the start of the school year. So a bid was put out for both laptops and desktops and projectors. In all instances, the lowest qualified bid was selected, the bid that met the specifications as outlined. In total, it is about $522,000 out of the $725,000 that's being approved. And should this be approved, it would go to the Land Use Committee of the Council in the beginning of July.
Okay. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the technology purchases. I'm sorry. We have to, let's get the motion on the floor first, so we're following parliamentary procedure. Okay.
I can't ask a question.
You can.
You can, but just they have to, we have to
Just
get.
wait a second. As soon as we put the motion on, then you ask a question. Okay. Motion is made by Ms. Rivas, seconded by Mr. Kasimis. Question from Mr. Meek.
Oh, just quickly, this bid package is new to me. How many projectors is that for 70 grand on line item D?
I believe it is about 5. I'd have to double check with Ralph.
But that's the same. You've been buying under the
It's
same
like replacement.
blanket?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
replacement projects.
Like
Even with the desktops, it's a replacement of the desktops that have met their useful life and laptops.
All right, thanks. That's all, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? No. Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving the computer purchases as indicated, please indicate. And that is unanimous. Thank you. All right, stay right where you are, Mr. Rudel. Information and reports, May 2015 monthly financial report. I guess this is the last one of these we're going to get from you, huh?
Yes.
All right, well, take it away.
Through May, we have spent $133.2 million against an adjusted budget of $168.4. So we have spent 79% against 92% of our budget. For the month of June, we have approximately $34 million worth of encumbered or anticipated expenditures. That would bring our year-end projected balance for the end of June for the fiscal year to about $167.2 million. So we are trending about 0.75% under budget.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Mr. Meek?
Yeah, line item 118. What happened in May? It was pretty nice out. I don't remember any storms. We had a $231,000 expense in substitutes.
Sure. There's an extra pay cycle in May based on the calendar year. So typically in May and then in November for us, there's an extra pay cycle. So you tend to see a little bit of a higher expense in those 2 months.
So this is just timing, but still
We are
13%
we are over budget
unfavorable.
in substitutes. We do have approved savings in salary line items. So in large instances, these are daily subs, or in the case of the 101 account, long-term subs that are replacing individuals who might be on maternity leave or out on disability.
Okay. So it shouldn't go too much higher year end, or?
You'd have about half a month of expenses in June as they stop getting paid at the end of the school year. So the last couple of weeks of the month, there would really be no expenses.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. All right, thank you, Rich. All right, next is committee and representative reports. Let's start this time with Mr. Barbas.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay, that's an easy one. Ms. Keys, policy.
I'll echo that until our next meeting, which will be in July.
Okay. Well, nothing to report by curriculum. We finished all the curriculum upgrades planned for this year, so we're looking pretty good. Mr. Kasimis, any reports?
Sure, athletics. Joe Metaferri every year, he's the AD over at Brian McMahon. He does a very nice breakfast for all the senior athletes, and that was this morning. And I know the mayor was there with me, and he just really does a great job honoring them and get plaques and recognized for their efforts.
Good. Ms. Murray, Finance?
No, I don't have any report, but I do have a question that maybe we can follow up later with. The fact that just need to have a conversation, some discussion as the finance chair on how we're actually handling coverage for the finance committee since the director is leaving, and I just need to have a finance person that will be part of the committee meetings.
Until we fill the position.
Right, exactly. So I just need to know that.
Rich, who would
Finance.
be able to come to the finance committee meetings from your department in the interregnum?
If he wants to talk later, I'm fine with that. He doesn't
Oh,
have
okay.
a decision tonight, but
Okay.
I need to have a conversation with someone.
Okay. All right, so that deals with the committee reports. Board member announcements. Any announcements from board members? Ms. Mosby?
This morning, I went to the retiree breakfast with Superintendent Connolly, and it was a very, it was nice to sit there, and I agree that we need to do more of recognizing our retirees, because they're quite appreciative that, someone, at least from the board, came in, and that's something that I think that we need to start looking at, trying to do more of that, trying to get ourselves out there to different areas, even if it's one or two of us somewhere, but we need to start being more visible out there.
Okay. Mr. Sims?
Yes, tomorrow is Brian McMahon High School graduation, and I just want to make sure everybody got the email I forwarded to you about where to park tomorrow. We have reserved parking at CGS right in front there. Mr. Mayor, I think you do too as well. They have a list of our names. Also, this is for Norwalk High. And I think we usually park down below by the...
by the shop.
Yeah,
The old,
yeah, but I'll find out for sure, yeah,
They
on the
usually
hill.
rope it off so they have someone.
Yeah, let me find out exactly.
On Strawberry Hill?
Yes.
Yeah, you know where the auto shop section
You
is?
need your parking sticker here, and be there by 5:15 so you can get roped up.
Oh, tomorrow?
Yes, 5:15 tomorrow, Brian McMahon.
Same time Norwalk High?
I believe it's the same time at Norwalk High, but 5:15 tomorrow, Brian McMahon, so we can get roped up. Okay. Yeah, because we're marching at 6.
We're marching at 6.
Yes.
Did you talk to the traffic on the Parkway?
I can if you'd like me to.
Please do.
Yes.
Ms. Rivas?
No,
Well, you
go ahead.
Well, Mike, did you have to go before?
No, you go ahead. I
Come
can,
back this
I-
way.
We'll get it.
I'll go.
I attended the Briggs graduation. It was beautiful. The speaker, the girl, the student that spoke there, I was very impressed, and everyone was crying, in the audience and on the stage and everything. And it's so important the struggles that these children have to go through, but yet they still succeed. And Ms. Keys was there; she did a nice speech as well, and it was very good. And it was it's always like very impressionable, leaves you with an impression when you go home and you think about it, because the children just never give up, and that diploma means so much to them. And then it makes you proud sitting there knowing that, that they thank you for that. So I think that was, was a good experience. And maybe, maybe next year, I don't know, we all have things to do. Maybe we could all try to be there as a full board. Maybe at the next Briggs and like adult ed and Briggs. And it's very important for these people, the adult learners, and they return back to school, and also for the alternative school, to show support so we could all be there. I think that we should really make an effort.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to note, I wanted to thank Ms. Murray, Mr. Kasimis, Ms. Keys, Mr. Barbas, and Mr. Meek for addressing the various graduations that we've been doing. We covered everybody, Briggs, Adult Ed, all of the middle schools, the high schools are covered.
Adult Ed.
Adult Ed. And I got very good feedback on the speeches that people have made so far. I'm sure Mr. Kasimis is going to wow everybody at the high schools. And I just wanted to thank you all because that's a commitment of effort, and I appreciate it.
And the mayor, too, he did a wonderful speech.
Well, he always does.
He got a standing ovation.
And I made all 4 middle school graduations tonight.
I saw the mayor opponents. I can't say much for my speech. I just, being a West Rocks and Norwalk High grad, I wore their school colors just to try to fit in. But I was glad to see him.
Well, I was a West Rocks grad too, and I let them know that as well.
All right.
We're all Norwalk tonight.
Heidi, you had something?
Yeah, I want to echo what Medalia had said. Briggs was just very inspirational, really small group, but just their stories and short. I mean, tonight I was at Nathan Hale was over 2 hours, and Briggs was like 40 minutes, but because it's such a smaller group, but it didn't matter though. It was really just their stories and what they've gone through, and it was just very powerful, just a really powerful evening at Briggs. Nathan Hale was amazing. For me, I graduated from Nathan Hale, so it was kind of bittersweet for me to go back and speak there so many years later. But it's like back to Medalia's point about everybody trying to be there. And I think we all collectively try to be at all of the graduations. I think it's tough. I don't think we can be at every one, but I think at least there's several of us that can be at some of these graduations. I think will have a lasting effect for many of the students that are graduating, just to show that we care. But obviously we can't go to every one, but I think we try to dally it out that we're able to go to as many as we can.
Thank you.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
I was going to wait to end to address that, but since Ms. Lyons, I just think that we do need to put a little more effort into attending the graduations. When you're traveling and doing things, of course, we know what comes, but the fact of it is, I think we can do a little better in our attendance. It sends a message, and don't think it's not. It's saying a message. And, with a history piece that goes along, all board members attended all graduations. It was never anything. I mean, like anything is your family emergencies, you have things like that. But the fact of it is, that's part of being an elected official. So that was one thing. The other thing I don't want to omit, Interim Superintendent Conley. You did a really great job in your personal piece at Briggs. I don't know anybody, but he actually congratulated with their names, each of them, because it was such a small class.
Only 23, so.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that was unique, and just wanted to let you know. And I know this is your first time at the rodeo with us, so I appreciate you. Okay, so just want to let you know that.
Okay, thank you. Mike Barbas, think you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Norwalk Public Schools was lucky enough. We won a grant, one of only 18 school districts in the whole country, from this the Center Teaching of Critical Languages Program, TCLP. It's an arm of the State Department, and we won a grant this year and had a teacher from China teaching Chinese at Roden Middle School. And today or tomorrow she leaves, she goes back to China. And it really was great. We had a going away party for her on Monday night, and then, which I guess was just last night. And today at the graduation for Roten, the principal during the graduation ceremony had her come up and said all these things. And anyway, it was a really high impact. It was a really unusual kind of program to have someone come here. They'd never been to the United States before. They left their family behind in China, and they started teaching Chinese at a school that had never had any Chinese instruction. So it was a really neat, and we can thank the State Department for having such a program, and I think it really attained its objectives, and it was a real win-win for Norwalk Public Schools.
Great. Anything else, Ms. Mosby?
Almost forgot, but better last than the adult education graduation. Myself, Rose, and Artie, we were there as well, and that was I think it was the largest class we had.
Yeah. Largest, yeah.
That's why we're in the auditorium.
Yeah.
Wow. Auditorium.
Yeah, the auditorium was special. So.
Excellent.
I just wanted to at least give a shout out to that.
Good. All right, that it.
With the graduation piece that we were talking about, since we're doing stuff with technology and in the media, and our board meetings are televised and everything, maybe there's a way that maybe with Brenda, with the communications, that there could be maybe, since there's staff there already, that they could record it and have the graduations online, like per school. So if you want to see the graduation of Nathan Hale, you could click on that, and it's televised, taped.
We could look into that.
Good suggestion.
Yeah.
To see that.
Just take a portable
Thank you.
recorder there and look into it.
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Live streaming.
Live streaming Wi-Fi on YouTube.
You could.
Freewheel. Is it on YouTube?
Well, I know we're working on live streaming of these meetings, so you can live stream anything once you get the technology set up.
Okay.
FaceTime.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 8, approval of the minutes of the June 2, 2015 meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Mr. Simmons moves. Is there a second? Ms. Keys seconds. Any changes or corrections?
Let me see. I have the minutes.
Ms. Mosby.
Hi, very quick. It's page 3 of 7.
Yep.
And I just want where it says Ms. Mosby stated that according to policy, but then the policy number was left out. So I would like to have that policy number 9326 added because I did say according to policy number 9326. Just to, the clarification. And it's on page 6 of 7. You need to add that as well. That's it.
Okay, we'll make that correction. Any other changes or corrections? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Any opposed? Abstentions? I missed the meeting. Okay, 702 approved. Thank you. All right.
I had one other announcement.
What is it?
Forgot about it.
Go right ahead. Sure.
We have to suspend the rules to go back to the.
What I'll say, well, one of the parliamentary tricks that we use is the chair will say, in the absence of any objection, you are recognized.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
No.
Okay. On the board member announcements, it's really like not spectacular things, but I was wondering, is there possible that we can have, when there's public comments, like sometimes we respond back to some speakers and not to others. Maybe there should be a consistency that either we're going to respond to them all and let them know that someone's going to look into their matter, and also to advise the person that there is a process. There is a process on if something is not being done correctly by staff, because I feel that although whether the allegations are true or not, I think that we have a responsibility to the employees and staff that work for Norwalk Public Schools. I think we do have, like when we're talking about recognition and these great things that a lot of people do that go unnoticed and unappreciated, I think the same way that we do that, we have to be mindful of that. Like when we say 3 minutes, please do not mention staff or certain personal things that may have affected you. You still have a right to come to the board as a last resort and be heard before the Board of Education. That's just a suggestion. I just feel it bothers me sometimes where some community citizens come to the microphone and then they feel unheard and they feel like they haven't been treated fairly. And I want everybody to have a sense that we're listening to everyone. Maybe there was something we could discuss about that and how everyone can have, the same right on as far as their speaking goes on that. And I just thought, and also we have when we do consider changing policy that affects like public comment, public opinion, it's not only the 900 series that we need to look at. We also need to look at the community, the 1000 series, because in there they cross-reference, like it also tells the public how meetings are conducted and what is said and what is being done. Also, my last thing is that when we have a meeting in a room, we should have it posted up or something so the public could say, what is the process of me speaking? So that it's automatically within sight. The same way that we post our agendas, we should post like conduct of a meeting or what, how they bring an issue to the floor. Just ways of other little things. That's it.
Okay.
You got the floor back, Chair. Thank you.
All right. So that completes the business of the meeting. Nice try. Nice try. We have 3 items for executive session that were put on the agenda by Mr. Connolly. So the chair would entertain a motion to go into executive session I recommend I recognize Ms. Rivas, second by Mr. Kasimis, to go into executive session.
She has a comment.
Well, let me make sure for the record we know what we're going to executive session for. This is for update on administrator search process, modification, interim superintendent James Connolly's employment contract, and evaluation process, re-roles and responsibilities of certain administrative staff. All right, all in favor of going to an executive session for these purposes, please indicate. I'm sorry, question?
Yes, I'd like to have that without a break because of the time of the evening. Some of us did not have dinner before they went to.
Yeah, I mean, well, if anybody, I can't stop you from going to the bathroom if you want to go, but we'll
continue. Thank you.
All right, all in favor, please indicate. Let's make sure we took the vote. Yep, okay. We're in executive session.
Moving. I'm not moving, Rosa.
Some of the
things. I'm not moving.
When are you going away and having a birthday?
Friday morning at 7 o'clock.
There's a couple.
Basically, everything else
Let
is
it be
just.
resolved.
Well, this is the contract, so we'll
It's an addendum,
we'll approve the addendum.
Yeah.
I guess you do the whole thing.
Just read that paragraph.
Coming in, Marilyn? I'm sorry.
Is Marilyn out there? Did she leave?
I don't.
Did anybody tell her?
She didn't, usually she asks if she's gonna leave.
Is she out there? She left.
She left.
She left? Okay.
All right, well, I'll get this to her after.
Yeah.
Okay, I will send her a note saying what the action was. Okay, we've come out of executive session. The chair would entertain a motion to add to the agenda for consideration approval of an addendum to James Connolly's contract to extend.
We actually have it, you know.
Well, that's not an action item, though.
Okay.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side, I'd rather do it and make sure we're compliant with FOI. To approve an addendum with his contract to continue his employment through July 15, 2015, or such later date as the parties may mutually agree in writing. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the addendum. Is there such a motion? Ms. Keyes moves, Ms. Harris seconds. Any discussion? All right. This is to add the item to the agenda. All right, all in favor of adding the item to the agenda, which is an FOI requirement, please indicate, and that is unanimous. Chair would now entertain a motion to approve the addendum of the contract with Mr. Connolly. Moved by Ms. Murray, second by Ms. Rivas. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of approving the contract, please indicate. And it is unanimous. All right. Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Kasimis moves. Ms. Rivas seconds. All in favor. Meeting is adjourned.
Yes.
Adjourn.
Now, you're not making tomorrow?
No. I will not be here.
Hey,
Will
Marty.
be at Norwalk High.
I'm not going to go to Norwalk High.
Norwalk High? Okay.
Just so you know, if you're
If anybody's asking, you're not.
or if you're waiting for me or whatever.
Yeah, but nobody.
Yeah, I don't need it, you know.
I'm done. I'm done with this.